In this video, we are going to discuss multiplying radical expressions, multiplying radicals. So to multiply the radicals, we must multiply the coefficients. Coefficients are the numbers in the front together and multiply the radicands together. So multiply the coefficients together, multiply the radicands together. We can only do that as long as indices are same. That means the number in the pocket is the same. So when you can multiply a square root and a square root, cube root and a cube root, fourth root and a fourth root, but you cannot multiply a square root with a fourth root. Okay, so as long as the indices are same, we can multiply the outsides together and insides together, coefficients together and the radicands together. Okay, if indices are different, we can try using rational exponents and simplify, which we will talk about soon. We will not focus on different indices in this section. We're only going to focus on same indices. All right, here's number 12 example. So I'm supposed to distribute root 5 into this parentheses. So root 5 times 4. In front of root 5, I do have the coefficient 1, remember? So we already said that we can think of 4 like 4 root 1. We already said multiply the outsides together and insides together. So 1 times 4 is 4. Root 5 times root 1 is root 5. Now let's distribute here. 1 times 2 is 2. Root 5 times root 5 is root 25. Remember, multiply outsides together and insides together. Coefficients get multiplied and radicands get multiplied. So we know square root of 25 is 5. So that can get out of the square root. No more square root left. And 2 times 5 is 10. 4 root 5 plus 10 is my final solution after I multiply this radical expression. Next example, I'm multiplying a binomial with a binomial. You can either use distributive property or you can use FOIL, because when you're multiplying a binomial and binomial, FOIL also comes handy. We can use distributive property if you prefer. So FOIL says first times first. So when I do first times first, multiply the coefficients. 3 times 2 is 6. Multiply the radicands. 6 times 6 is 36. Outer would be 3 times 3, 9, square root of 30. Now we're going to be doing inner. Positive times negative is a negative. And 1 times 2 is 2, root 30. And then last times last, which is negative 3, square root of 25. A little bit cleaning up required, simplification required. Square root of 36 is 6. So that can get out of the square root. And 9 root 30 and 2 root 30 are like terms. We can combine the coefficients, which turns out to be 7 root 30 minus 3 times square root of 25 is 5. A little more cleaning up. 6 times 6 is 36 plus 7 root 30 minus 15. 36 take away 15 is 21 plus 7 root 30. Now, it would be my try to break the 30. So in the scratch space, I'm going to try to break 30. And 30 can be written as 2 times 3 times 5. I don't have pairs. I don't have groups of 2 2s, 2 3s, or 2 5s inside to be able to pull one out. So this cannot be simplified any further, and I will just circle box this right here and say this is my final solution when I multiply these radicals. Number 14. 5 plus 2 root 3 squared. Now, square means I have 2 of these, right? Square means I am multiplying something by itself. So I'm going to write it as 5 plus 2 root 3 times 5 plus 2 root 3. And it is time to do foiling now. First times first is 25. Outer times outer is plus 10 root 3. Inner times inner is plus 10 root 3. Last times last is plus 4 root 9. So keep in mind when you're multiplying radicals, multiply the coefficients together and the radicands together. The numbers outside multiply with the number outside, and the number inside multiplies with the number inside. As long as the indices are same, that means you're dealing with the square root and a square root, cube root and a cube root, fourth root and a fourth root. We can go ahead and do that. Little more cleaning up required. These two are the like terms because they have exactly same radical. and we can combine the like radicals. So 10 plus 10 is 20 root 3. 4 times square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 25 plus 12 is 37 plus 20 root 3. And that's my final answer here. 37 plus 20 root 3. Awesome. Here's another example. Number 15, which is root 5x minus 2 root 3x times root 5x minus 3 root 3x. Okay, a lot going on here. We are multiplying. We have radicals, we have variables, we have signs, positives and negatives, we have coefficients. So slow down, take your time, and because we're doing a binomial times binomial, we can rely on foiling. Okay, foiling says first times first. So you can cover the remaining stuff and just look at the first term and the first term. Root 5x times root 5x would be root 25x squared. Okay. Now it's time to do outer times outer. Positive times negative is a negative. The number in the front is a 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Inside the radical, 5 times 3 is 15. X times x is x squared. It's time to multiply inside and inside. Positive times negative is a negative, and there's a hidden 1 in the front. Coefficient is 1 for root 5x. 2 times 1 is 2. Square root of 15x squared. It's time to take care of last times last. Negative times negative is a positive. 2 times 3 is a 6. And inside the square root, I would have a 9x squared. Okay, it's time to clean up. Pull whatever we can get out of the square root. 25x squared is a perfect square root. Excuse me. We can pull out a 5 and an x from here. And I can pull out an x from here and an x from here. So negative 3x. 15 is 3 times 5. I won't be able to pull anything out from here. So 15 square root will still stay like square root of 15. Plus 6 times square root of 9x squared is 3x. It's a perfect square. 3x squared is 9x squared. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and combine the like terms. But before we do that, I am going to multiply 6 times 3x, which is 18x. Now, combine the like terms. 18x plus 5x is going to give me 23x. And negative 3x and negative 2x, these are the like terms because they have exactly same radical next to it. So we can combine the coefficients, which leaves me with negative 5x square root of 15. And that's all we can get over here. If you prefer, you can factor out an x, and it would be 23 minus 5 root 15. It's unnecessary, no need to do that, but you can go ahead and factor an x out if you wish to do so. Here's number 16. Okay, number 16 is a bit more work because you have a binomial and there's another binomial inside the binomial in your radical. So be extra careful, but this is also very, very useful when we solve the radical equations. You'll have to do that pretty much in every single radical equation. So when we get to the section of radical equations, be extra careful with this part. All right, so here we are. I'm gonna first of all write them as 2 separate parentheses because square means I have 2 of these. Square means I'm multiplying this root 2x minus 5 minus 3 times root 2x minus 5 minus 3. Now I'm going to be doing foiling, first times first. So I would have 2x minus 5 squared because I have 2 of these inside. Outer times outer. Well, that would be a negative 3 root 2x minus 5. Remember, when we're multiplying radicals, the outsides multiply together, the insides multiply together. You might say there's no outside for root 2x minus 5. Well, you can consider that there's a 1 over here. You might say there's no inside for the number 3 at the very end. You can put a radical 1 next to it. It's the same thing. You're not changing the expression. Now we'll talk about inner times inner. So negative 3 root 2x minus 5. And then we have last times last, which is plus 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Okay, it's time to clean up, time to simplify. Now, two of these, when you do square root of a square, they can cancel each other, and you're just left with 2x minus 5. Because you have two of these inside, you can pull one out of the square root. Minus negative 3, and negative 3 gives you a negative 6 root 2x minus 5 plus a 9. Okay, now very important to remember that this negative 6 is not sitting alone. The negative 6 is multiplied to this whole expression. So we really cannot touch and mess around with this negative 6. But we can combine these two like terms. So negative 5 plus 9 is positive 4 minus 6 root 2x minus 5. And this would be our final answer. Do not try to combine 4 and negative 6. Do not say that you're going to add 4 minus 6 is negative 2. That is not okay because the negative 6 is connected to this whole expression, okay? So this entire thing is our final answer. If you prefer, you can write it, you can shuffle the terms around, because when you're adding or subtracting, the order, when you're adding, the order doesn't matter. You can write them like that if you want. You can shuffle the order, but this would be our end point. This would be our last step to add and subtract to multiply the radicals. We cannot add or subtract any more like terms in here.